You've waited a year, Ethan. What's a few more days? A dismissive whisper, a casual brush-off that felt like a chisel to my soul, slicing away the last vestiges of hope I clung to. My 6 months of groundbreaking quantum research had just been accused of plagiarism. And as I stood before the Institute's ethics committee, facing the skeptical stares of my peers, I offered no defense. I even apologized to Marcus, the junior researcher conveniently named as the victim of my alleged theft. Any explanation would have been futile. I knew with a certainty that burned that he could only have obtained my data with the help of my girlfriend and colleague, Claire, within the Advanced Quantum Research Labs. I was the undisputed resident punching bag. Everyone whispered that the real tragedy wasn't just the stolen experimental data, but 27 consecutive refusals to co-author our research paper. The first time, Claire claimed Marcus, her mentored graduate student, faced a critical roadblock in his thesis, demanding her immediate full attention. Our paper would have to wait. The second time, Marcus was preparing for a global summit. Claire insisted she needed to refine his presentation slides, leaving no time for our final manuscript. By the 26th time, Marcus complained of immense pressure, sleepless nights over his graduation defense. Claire cancelled a scheduled meeting with a senior professor, rushing instead to tutor him through the night. When the editor of the Quantum Nexus journal prompted us for the 27th time for the final revision, I sent a terse email to our research group. I was withdrawing from the project, removing my name from all related work. Professor Claire and I wrote, had diverging research interests. We would each pursue our own paths. After hitting send, I systematically deleted every shared file from my computer. I had just accepted an invitation to lead a scientific team at the secretive National Advanced Computing Facility. At the next departmental meeting, the chairperson announced that the Quantum Nexus journal would feature exclusive interviews with 2 pioneering scholars. Claire nominated herself and Marcus rose, her voice clear and confident. Marcus's quantum encryption algorithm shows immense promise. Young talent should be given more opportunities to shine. She didn't spare me a glance, as if she'd forgotten that the foundational framework of that very algorithm was my own design. Colleagues' eyes drifted towards me, a mix of curiosity and pity. After the meeting, as I packed up my equipment, Claire hurried over. The paper will have to be delayed a few more days. Marcus's project is stuck. I need to help him overcome this. I nodded silently. Marcus approached, a stack of papers in his arms, letting out a theatrical sigh. Professor, this quantum decoherence problem is jamming my entire thesis. I haven't slept in 3 nights. My head is pounding. I coolly noted the concealer under his eyes, clearly visible despite his dramatics. Claire immediately took his hand. We'll go to the lab now. We'll solve this paper, even if it means an all-nighter. She turned to me, not meeting my gaze. You've waited a year, Ethan. What's a few more days? Marcus, following her, looked back at me with a triumphant smirk. Dr. Ethan, I apologize for taking up Professor Claire's time, but my discovery could impact the entire field of quantum absorption. I hope you don't mind. In the past, I would have argued, reminded Claire of the importance of our promises. Now, I merely said, suit yourself. Claire paused, perhaps sensing a shift in my demeanor for the first time, but quickly composed herself. Her voice grew distant, almost as if offering a cold compensation. I'll make sure to introduce your algorithm specifically at the next team meeting. Before leaving, she pulled an energy bar from her pocket, one she'd prepared herself. Eat up. Get your energy back, she coaxed Marcus softly. He took a bite, glancing at me triumphantly, a chocolate crumb clinging to the corner of his mouth. Claire gently reached out a finger and wiped it away. 3 months earlier, Claire herself had implemented a strict ban on all food in the lab to ensure a pristine environment. When I suffered from stomach ulcers, doubled over in cold sweat, she still wouldn't let me bring anything but my medication. Experimental data is more important than your stomach, she'd snapped. Once I even fainted from low blood sugar right at the console, my blood staining a precious sample. She had berated me in front of everyone. If you want to do science, don't be so weak. This is a research lab, not a cafeteria. The lab door closed, shutting me out. Marcus's smug smile stung my eyes. I slowly opened my laptop and clicked on an email from Professor Thorne, the lead on the National Supercomputing Project. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a few seconds before I typed a brief reply. I accept your offer. Professor Thorne's immediate response arrived. Ethan, my friend, why the sudden change of heart? Your professional relationship with Dr. Claire could be affected. Please consider carefully. I typed back, we are merely professional colleagues. No issue. A strange sense of lightness spread through me after sending that email. Professor Thorne remained silent for half an hour, then sent a 300-page project proposal. The nation needs your algorithm. This is a matter of national security. Come home when you are ready. My phone vibrated. 17 new notifications from the academic group chat. I opened the screen. A long message from Marcus dominated it. Tonight, I successfully conquered the warning quantum algorithm. Special thanks to Professor Claire for guiding me all night. What he called a breakthrough was merely a problem I had solved 3 months prior. In the attached photo, Claire leaned over, adjusting equipment for him, her face beaming with pride. Colleagues in the group chat poured in congratulations, no one suspecting the true origin of the achievement. It suddenly dawned on me that today marked exactly 1 year since I had completed the quantum algorithm framework. A year ago, Claire had held my hand, vowing that we would stand together, co-authoring and sharing the glory. Now, she was pulling an all-nighter in the lab, merely helping Marcus repackage my achievement. I closed the group chat window, reopened our collaborative paper draft, and hit confirm delete. 3 years of collaborative work vanished with a single click. At 7 a.m., Claire pushed open the lab door. Her sleeves carried the familiar scent of Marcus's antiseptic cologne. I got so caught up mentoring him last night, I lost track of time, she said, avoiding my gaze. Her voice strained. The additional documents you asked for, I haven't had a chance to find them yet. Maybe another day. My eyes swept over her desk. The small black notebook where I kept all my key parameters and algorithm optimization directions was gone. Claire noticed my gaze and immediately explained. I lent that notebook to Marcus for reference. He needs to understand your thought process to delve deeper into the research. It's a small thing. You don't mind, do you? I stared into her tired yet calculating eyes. We need to talk. As I began to speak, her phone rang. Marcus's voice blared clearly from the speakerphone. Professor, save me. I accidentally deleted all the data from last night. My hard drive crashed. All my notes are gone, too. Can you please come help me recover it? I'm going crazy. Claire snatched her jacket, rushing out without a backward glance. I have to go help him right away. That data is crucial. Her footsteps faded down the hallway. She didn't even say goodbye. In that moment, I finally understood that in her heart, I had never been the most important person. The chasm of truth had opened. After Claire's footsteps vanished, I slowly opened my academic inbox and clicked on the breakthrough Marcus had shared. It was unmistakably the quantum algorithm I had written 3 months prior. He had merely changed a few terms, yet even my annotation style and debugging marks remained identical. His name stood as the sole author. 3 years of dedicated effort, traded for blatant theft. My phone vibrated. A colleague messaged. Internal presentation has started. Marcus is the main speaker presenting the breakthrough. Claire is cheering. Why isn't your name on the speaker list? Isn't that your algorithm? I smiled bitterly, my fingers weakly scrolling across the screen. A year ago, to complete the algorithm prototype, I had worked for 72 consecutive hours without sleep. I was hospitalized for stomach bleeding. Claire stood by my hospital bed and coldly said, "Data is more important than people. Can you be discharged early?" I gritted my teeth and returned to work. Days later, my stitches burst and I had to be sewn up again. And now she was taking unauthorized leave for Marcus's pressure, spending her entire day around him. Such blatant favoritism, and she believed it perfectly justified. Professor Thorne's call interrupted my thoughts. Ethan, a private car will pick you up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Keep everything confidential. The project's security level has been upgraded to Alpha. You need to move into a top-secret environment immediately. I began packing my computer only to discover unusual access logs in a classified folder. I opened the core file. The most critical part of the encryption algorithm design was gone. Someone had used my account to steal the core algorithm. The lab door burst open. Claire rushed in distraught. Seeing me packing, her face instantly paled. "Where are you going? When are you leaving?" Her voice was urgent and anxious. "I didn't know you had a new project. Why didn't you tell me?" A rare flicker of unease crossed her eyes. She stared at my computer. "About last night, we need to talk." Just as I opened my mouth, her tablet rang with a video call. Marcus's panicked face filled the screen. "Professor Claire, the algorithm failed again during testing. I'm completely stuck. My defense is so close." Claire snatched the tablet, darting towards the door. "I'm coming right away. Don't worry, it's not serious." She didn't look back. I stood in the empty lab, feeling for the first time in 3 years a strange and profound sense of relief. In the corner of the room, my old notebook containing 3 years of experimental data lay silently. I walked over, tearing through page after page of dense handwritten formulas. The shredder whirred deafeningly. I initiated a system recovery program, forcing access to the deleted access logs. The information that appeared made my heart stop. User account, Claire. Action, bulk copy of core algorithm directories. User account, Claire. Action, remote deletion of original data. She hadn't just stolen my work. She intended to erase every trace. All remaining hope within me flickered and died. I quickly programmed an automated script. As soon as the system detected specific conditions, all evidence of Claire's data theft would be sent to multiple backup email addresses. As dawn broke, Claire finally returned to the lab. The dark circles under her eyes were more pronounced, and she reeked of strong coffee. Marcus failed his experiment, completely devastated. "I had to stay with him until now," she explained wearily. Her gaze fell on my packed suitcase, and her voice suddenly tensed. "Are you really leaving? What kind of project is so urgent?" Just then, Marcus burst into the lab, his face etched with worry. "Professor, I'm stuck again on the quantum entanglement formula derivation. I need your guidance right away. The committee is meeting soon." He didn't even acknowledge me, deliberately ignoring me, a hint of smugness in his eyes. Claire hesitated, her eyes darting between me and Marcus, then said, "I'll be right over. Ethan, your matter can wait. We'll talk later." I silently watched her hurried departure, my heart utterly cold. I turned back to my computer and replied to Professor Thorne's confirmation email. "Departing tomorrow morning." That night, I meticulously backed up all my data alone. Unexpectedly, Claire returned to the lab earlier than usual. As she pushed the door open, her footsteps faltered, seeing the screen full of code and the packed suitcase beside me, her brows furrowed. "What project are you joining? Which research materials have you brought?" She walked to my desk. I looked up at her, realizing her gaze had been glued to my computer screen the entire time. What she cared about was never where I was going, but what I was taking. Her eyes finally rested on the portable hard drive beside me. "What's in there?" Her voice grew tense. "I won't answer." Her gaze suddenly froze on the screen. The system access log query page was still open. Claire's username and her entire operation history clearly displayed. Her face instantly went ashen. "Why did you steal my algorithm?" I looked directly into her eyes. Claire momentarily panicked but quickly regained her composure. "It's not stealing, just referencing." She tried to keep her voice calm. "Marcus is young. He needs confidence. You're already a renowned scholar. You should understand and support the next generation." Her tone grew increasingly arrogant, as if I were the petty one. "Young people need achievements. Why bother with such academic details?" I said nothing. Only opened my inbox and clicked on the preview of Marcus's newly published paper in Quantum Nexus Journal. The entire article, its core a quantum entanglement optimization model I had developed, had its derivation process unaltered word for word. Claire sensed the anger in me and her voice softened. "Ethan, this is important for Marcus's future. You don't need these accolades anymore, do you? And besides, we can compensate you, perhaps with a future collaboration opportunity." Just as she finished speaking, her phone rang again. Marcus's voice boomed loudly from the speaker, clearly amplified on purpose. "Professor, I've printed the paper, but the submission system requires author confirmation. I need you to confirm it immediately or it will delay publication." Claire instantly grabbed her bag, her eyes still fixed on my portable hard drive. "I have to go over there for a bit. This is very important. Wait for me to come back and we'll continue our discussion." I silently nodded. Her footsteps grew distant. I was alone in the lab once more. Deep down, my last flicker of hesitation completely vanished. I opened my bag, took out a special, untraceable credit card, and sent a final encrypted message to Professor Thorne. "Departing on time tomorrow. Core algorithm secured. No local copies left." This was my final farewell. At 2 a.m., Claire finally returned to the lab. Her clothes were disheveled, but her eyes held a strange excitement. My gaze settled on her desk. My encryption notebook lay open. Right beside it was a form with Marcus's name, a nomination for the International Breakthrough Prize in Quantum Computing. This was the highest honor in my field, and the research content in that application was clearly the fruit of my 3 years of relentless work. Claire saw my gaze and quickly flipped the form face down. "I originally intended to nominate both you and Marcus," she stammered, speaking faster than usual. "It would be a greater encouragement for young researchers." A corner of the form still peeked out, clearly showing Marcus as the sole nominee. Below it was a handwritten introduction by the nominator, full of effusive praise for a young genius. I calmly pointed out, "The application uses my research results, but my name isn't on it." Claire's face stiffened slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. "It's just based on your algorithm framework. Marcus developed a completely new direction. Science is about standing on the shoulders of giants, isn't it?" Her eyes gleamed with a cold confidence I had never seen before. Seeing my silence, Claire immediately changed her tone. "If you really care, I can add your name as a second co-author. You just need to sign here, agreeing to our plan." She pulled a pre-prepared authorization form for research results from her drawer and placed it before me. "No need," I said softly. Claire misunderstood my meaning, her face showing obvious relief. "You truly are the best colleague." She feigned generosity. "I guarantee that when Marcus receives the award, he will specifically mention your contributions in his speech. Oh, I also prepared a gift for you." She took a beautifully bound notebook from her bag. I immediately recognized it as the commemorative gift the department gave to graduate students after their thesis defenses. Marcus's. Even for my gift, she couldn't be bothered to prepare anything unique. "Ethan, I have something else I need your help with." Claire suddenly grew serious. "I hope you can forego your patent rights for the new algorithm, giving them to Marcus. This is very important for his future and for my academic reputation." I looked at the colleague with whom I had worked side by side for 3 years, my heart sinking to the absolute bottom. "Fine," I agreed indifferently. After all, I'm leaving this place forever tomorrow. What does it matter if all future research is entrusted to Marcus? Claire clearly hadn't expected me to agree so easily. She was overjoyed. "Thank you. I'll nominate you for the university's Outstanding Lecturer title to compensate you." She excitedly stamped the document, completely oblivious to the cold smile playing on my lips. My phone vibrated with a message from Professor Thorne. "Car arranged. 7 a.m. pickup at the back gate." Just as I was about to reply, Claire's phone rang again. "Professor, the quantum computer system crashed unexpectedly." Marcus's panicked voice blared from the speaker. "All the parameters are messed up. It needs an emergency reboot." Claire instantly sprang up, grabbed her jacket. "I'm coming right away." She ran straight for the door. "Wait for me to get back and we'll continue our discussion." Watching her hasty figure disappear behind the door, I knew she would never truly understand my decision. I opened the system, typed the final command. All backups were automatically uploaded to the encrypted server, and all local traces on the machine were wiped clean. Everything would vanish from this place with me. As dawn broke, I slung my backpack over my shoulder, taking a final look at the lab where I had worked for 5 years. On the desk still lay the equations we had once written together, side by side, but the idealistic woman she once was long gone. Professor Thorne's private car arrived precisely on time. I left no message. As the car drove away under the rising sun, I felt a serenity I had never known. The collapse had begun. A physically exhausted Claire returned to the lab. The moment she pushed open the door, she felt as if struck by lightning. Ethan's desk was empty. All his equipment, documents, even the formulas once taped to the walls, all gone. The drawers were cleared, the hard drive removed, and the network access logs completely erased. No way. He just went on a business trip, she muttered to herself until her fingers touched the cold surface of his desk, as chilling as his resolute departure. Just as Claire was still trying to comprehend what had happened, her phone rang, shattering the silence. "Professor, we have a problem." Marcus's voice trembled. "The reviewer for the Quantum Physics Review found a serious error in our submitted paper's calculations. They're demanding the original data and the entire algorithmic derivation process." Claire went white. "Use the backup I gave you." "It's just the results," Marcus cried. "It doesn't have the full derivation process. Dr. Ethan's core algorithm, I can't answer those questions." That afternoon, an emergency lab meeting was convened. The department head's face was grim. "Ethan has officially resigned and transferred to the National Quantum Computing Center. The project is under military-grade security. He's completely cut off from external contact." "Impossible." Claire's voice shook. "He said he was only going on a short business trip. He sent a formal farewell email to everyone," a colleague interjected. "Except you, Professor Claire." Marcus, under pressure, completely crumbled. "I confess, I don't fully understand those algorithms. I just followed the template Dr. Ethan left and plugged in the parameters." He burst into tears. "Without him, I can't do anything." It was then that Claire seemed to awaken from a dream. She had once proudly possessed Ethan as a core asset, and now she had lost him entirely. The university's academic committee officially launched an investigation. The department head said, "They suspect the authenticity of Marcus's paper and require you to provide additional evidence to prove his contributions." Claire frantically searched through Ethan's inbox, then inadvertently found the farewell letter he had left on a colleague's computer. "Thank you for our years of working together. From now on, I will pursue my own ideals, forever severing ties with the past. I ask for everyone's forgiveness for my silent departure. Some wounds can only be healed by leaving." Every sentence was steeped in disappointment and resolve. Just then, Claire's computer screen suddenly displayed a system notification. "User Ethan has permanently revoked your access to all shared research documents. Your account has been deleted from all joint projects." Claire slumped into her chair, her world turning to a desperate black. Her last hope was to call Professor Thorne, wishing she could still salvage something. "Don't call anymore," Professor Thorne's voice was icy. "He has chosen a career far more important than you. Don't be so self-centered and bother him. He's doing very well now. He doesn't need anyone who once betrayed him." The call disconnected. Only then did Claire truly understand that Ethan had completely erased her from his life, just as she had once ignored him. The International Quantum Computing Award Committee requested a direct interview with the core algorithm developer. In the dean's office, Claire's face was devoid of color. After learning of Ethan's resignation, they immediately suspended Marcus's evaluation process. Marcus impatiently stomped his foot. "No. My father has already announced everywhere that I'm about to win the award. There must be a way." The next day, Marcus's father, Dr. Sterling from the Academy of Sciences, personally intervened, using his connections to try and quell the criticism. The result was counterproductive. The Frontiers in Science journal immediately published an editorial, "Academic Fraud or Teacher-Student Collusion. The Ethics of the Lab Behind the Quantum Algorithm Dispute." A stone thrown into a calm lake creating 1,000 ripples. In the hallway, Claire clearly heard her colleagues' whispers. "I don't understand what Professor Claire was thinking, ditching a genius scientist like Dr. Ethan for some kid who's barely out of school. I heard she even handed over all of Ethan's achievements to Marcus. She doesn't deserve to be a professor. Is the allure of young men enough to throw away one's career and conscience?" Claire was too ashamed to lift her head, scurrying back to her office. Late that night, the empty lab held only her. While cleaning out old documents, a forgotten notebook in the corner caught her eye. It was mine. Flipping through the pages, besides the dense formulas, there were short notes with dates. October 18th, Claire cancelled our workshop again to help Marcus prepare for his thesis defense. My stomach ulcers are worse. Needed 3 pain pills to keep working. November 2nd. Finished the core module of the algorithm. Claire didn't come to review it. Said Marcus was demoralized and needed comforting. Continued refining it myself. December 24th, worked overtime on Christmas Eve. The gift I prepared for Claire still in my drawer. She hasn't checked my work progress for 3 consecutive weeks. Every word was evidence of the silent suffering and disappointment I had endured for years. Claire broke down, tears raining down her face. Only now did Claire truly see everything she had done. The nightmare was not over. The next day, the academic committee officially opened an investigation into the plagiarism in Marcus's thesis. As his supervisor, Claire was also implicated and placed under investigation. No one expected that during the hearing, Marcus would suddenly collapse and sob uncontrollably. It was Professor Claire who instructed me to use Dr. Ethan's algorithm. She said she would handle everything, told me not to worry. The room erupted in murmurs. Claire felt as if struck by lightning. The very student she had poured all her effort into supporting was the first to push her into the abyss when in trouble. The suspension notice arrived quickly. Claire was temporarily stripped of her lab management privileges. To make matters worse, her supervised students successively submitted requests to switch advisors. I cannot continue with a professor potentially involved in academic misconduct. It will ruin my future, one of her most loyal students had said in the dean's office. The elderly dean's eyes were filled with disappointment. Unless you can contact Ethan to clarify the truth, the university will handle this case with the utmost severity, permanently revoking your professorship and research qualifications. Claire collapsed into her chair, utterly devastated. Her once brilliant academic career was crumbling before her eyes. Ironically, the only person who could save her now was the very one she had pushed out of her life. I'm sorry, Professor. The private detective shook his head helplessly. Dr. Ethan has joined a top-secret military project. Even his home address is classified. I can't find any trace of him. The last glimmer of hope in Claire's eyes faded. The $3,000 for the investigation had been wasted without a single piece of news about Ethan. Worse, Marcus began to publicly distance himself. Professor, my father advised me not to see you temporarily. During the investigation, contact between us could be seen as collusion. He said coldly over the phone, then immediately hung up. Claire let out a bitter laugh. In times of crisis, the first to flee is always the least trustworthy. In despair, Claire decided to go to my parents' house to beg for forgiveness. I'm sorry, Professor. My mother stood at the door, her eyes complex. Before leaving, Ethan told us never to reveal anything about him to you. I just want to apologize. Please, I beg you, Claire choked out. Sorry. My father's voice echoed from inside the house, full of meaning. When my son was hospitalized for stomach bleeding, where were you? When his thesis was stolen, where were you? Every time he needed you, where were you? He stepped out, his eyes as sharp as knives. He made it clear to us that he hopes the name Claire will never appear in his life again. Please respect his decision, Professor. The cold iron gate closed, blocking her on the doorstep. Claire sank onto the stone steps, tears flowing endlessly. The following week, the institute sent her to an international quantum physics conference, hoping she might find a solution to the academic crisis. Just before entering the auditorium, she froze, seeing Professor Thorne. Professor Thorne, please, I beg you, let me see Ethan just once. Claire rushed forward, abandoning all dignity. Professor Thorne looked at her, his face devoid of emotion. Around them, delegates began to stop and watch. Professor Thorne spoke loudly, deliberately ensuring everyone heard. Ethan made it very clear that he does not wish to see anyone who betrayed him. I respect that decision. The auditorium fell silent, all eyes on Claire, her face flushed red, shame washing over her like a tidal wave. In a desperate gamble, she finally submitted an application to become a research fellow at the National Quantum Computing Center, hoping to get closer to Ethan again. "I'm sorry, Professor," the person in charge replied indifferently. "We do not recruit candidates with a history of academic ethical violations." Her fervent plea was rejected. A month later, the university issued a final ultimatum. "Professor Clare, if you cannot contact Dr. Ethan to clarify the truth, the university will officially and permanently revoke your professorship and publicly announce the disciplinary action." Pushed to the brink, an anonymous tip suddenly rocked the academic world. Marcus was accused of inappropriate relationships with several female researchers. The women confirmed that Marcus often used the excuse of being under pressure, emotionally unstable, and needing comfort to request to be alone with them. Claire felt as if struck by lightning. She flipped through her calendar. Every time Marcus had cited a need for emotional support or feeling unwell perfectly coincided with the days the female researchers accused him. And ironically, those were precisely the times Claire had repeatedly cancelled or ignored me. The genius student she had poured her heart into, sacrificing genuine affection to elevate, was ultimately a moral reprobate. Claire covered her face, weeping in silent agony. She had not only destroyed me, but had also with her own hands destroyed herself. The official science journal announced on its homepage the retraction of all 3 papers bearing Marcus's name, confirming academic fraud. Co-author Claire, as his supervising professor, was held responsible for failing in her oversight duties. In the following days, major journals like Domino's successively retracted articles bearing Marcus's name. 10 years of academic reputation vanished in a single week. At the academic tribunal, Claire sat alone, questioned by 3 rows of committee members. "Professor Claire, please explain why, despite knowing Marcus was using Dr. Ethan's algorithm, you still affirmed it as Marcus's independent work in the paper. Are you aware that this behavior constitutes serious fraud? As a senior professor, do you understand the negative impact this incident will have on young researchers?" Claire bowed her head, unable to offer a single rebuttal. The sharp gazes of her colleagues below pierced through her indirectly, eroding the last remnants of her self-respect. Dr. Sterling, Marcus's father, delivered what amounted to a finishing blow at the press conference. "My son certainly made mistakes, but he is young and impetuous and was led astray by his supervisor. Professor Clare, in pursuit of personal academic achievement, condoned and even directly participated in this fraudulent behavior. As a parent, I apologize to Dr. Ethan and urge the academic community to severely punish the supervising professor's misconduct." Public opinion completely turned against Claire. Worse, the creative science news delved deep into the relationship between me, Claire, and Marcus. Genius scientist bullied and betrayed in the workplace, Dr. Ethan endured 3 years of supervisory neglect, his achievements stolen by a colleague, ultimately forced to leave in silence. The article meticulously listed the times I was hospitalized for stomach bleeding, forced by Claire to leave early while she favored Marcus, granting him days off for mental pressure. Society began to question Claire's ethics. The university's decision came swiftly. Claire was terminated from her position and had all research privileges suspended for 5 years. Outside her office, a bright red seal was affixed to the door. "Professor Clare, the university requires us to clear out your office." Colleagues reluctantly carried out the order. In the deepest drawer, they unexpectedly discovered something, a stack of heartfelt love letters I had once written to Claire, along with a carefully chosen gift I had never had the chance to give, mixed in with a pile of discarded items. "He really loved her," an assistant in the room murmured. Those words made Claire bury her face in indelible shame. Leaving the university that day, Claire inadvertently read a news report, daughter of Academy of Sciences director officially engaged to young scientist Marcus. The 2 prominent academic families were about to become in-laws. In the photo, Marcus, impeccably dressed, held hands with the elegant Miss Sterling, beaming for the cameras. Claire felt as if she had awoken from a long trance. She had merely been a temporary stepping stone on Marcus's path to fame. Once he achieved his goals, he immediately cast her aside. On social media, Marcus even posted a cutting status update, "Destroying one's future for personal affection is both pathetic and laughable." The academic world is not lacking in opportunists, but ultimately only true ability endures. Claire turned off her phone, standing in her empty apartment where everything once belonged to a dream named glory. 10 years of effort had vanished like smoke. The future before her was a vast dark night. All because she had pushed the only person who truly cared for her out of her life. In a cramped rental room, Claire wearily graded high school physics assignments. After the collapse of her academic career, she scraped by as a part-time tutor. Flipping through an old magazine to pass the time, her eyes suddenly froze. The cover of Global Science featured a profile shot, deliberately blurred the face. Yet among millions, she recognized me. The mysterious scientist leading breakthrough research in quantum computing, realizing the full quantum system. The article detailed how my research team had broken the core limits of the quantum computing industry. However, my personal information was completely withheld, only stating that Scientist X has an exceptional background and an absolutely confidential identity. The last line of the article ignited a final spark of hope in Claire's heart. Reportedly, Scientist X will make his first public appearance at the International Quantum Computing Conference next month, announcing groundbreaking research results. "I found you," Claire whispered, her hand trembling as she touched my blurred image, tears falling onto the page. To gather enough money for the conference trip, she sold all her valuables, including the entangled quantum pendant I had once given her. As she packed her luggage, she couldn't stop recalling my tenderness, the warm soup brought late at night, the patient explanations of each step of formula derivation, and my forgiveness after every time she inexplicably flared in anger. What had she truly lost? Excruciating pain. At the International Quantum Computing Conference, Claire infiltrated the hall under the guise of a volunteer. What stunned her was that at every entrance, my photo was displayed with large text, "Strictly no personal contact. Violation will result in immediate removal from the venue." She suddenly realized this was the defense I had deliberately erected, knowing she would come looking for me. The auditorium erupted in thunderous applause. Claire watched as I walked onto the podium, impeccably dressed in a suit, my eyes sharp, every gesture exuding calm confidence. I was no longer the shy, quiet young man working in the corner of the lab. Quantum computing allows us to break through the limits of classical computational power. My voice resonated, calmly analyzing the most advanced theories. Below, leading scientists from around the world nodded in agreement, praising my words. Claire quietly stood tucked away in a corner, tears streaming down her face, how much she had once looked down on me. Yet today I shone with an equal brilliance. During the Q&A session, Claire, wearing a mask, raised her hand to speak. Security personnel immediately moved to stop her. In the struggle, her eyes met mine. I looked at her for only 1 second, coldly, indifferently, then moved on to the next questioner, as if she were just a stranger in the audience, completely unrelated. That gaze was like a knife plunging into Claire's heart. Security gently but firmly escorted her away from the Q&A area. All she could do was stand afar, silently watching my radiant figure on stage. That evening, at the private post-conference reception, Claire secretly slipped in through the service entrance. I was surrounded by top scientists, chatting jovially. Even more dazzling was the elegant woman standing beside me, a prominent scientist in quantum biology. "She's the new star in the field," people whispered. The two of them are collaborating to explore a completely new interdisciplinary area. A senior professor raised his glass in a toast. "Dr. Ethan, I admire you for daring to let go of the past to achieve today's success. Some people are tied down by old matters forever and can never move forward." I smiled and replied, "The past has been completely released. My present is solely focused on the future. Only without burdens can one go far." Claire felt as if struck by lightning, frozen in place. I had truly forgotten her, with not a trace of lingering affection or heartbreak. She left the reception in silence, stepping into the cold night. The woman who once held herself so high, was now merely a faint shadow on the periphery of my life. On the final day of the conference, Claire waited outside the hotel. Seeing me step into a car, ready to leave, she rushed forward, blocking its path. "Ethan, please, just 5 minutes." Security personnel immediately approached. I lowered the car window, waving them back. "Professor Claire, do you have any academic questions that need clarification?" My voice was terrifyingly calm. That formality and distance cut into Claire's heart like a knife. "I'm sorry," she choked out. "I know my mistakes are irreparable, but I have to say it. How much I regret everything." She wept, trying to pour out every word from the bottom of her heart. My eyes remained like a calm lake. Passers-by watched with curious glances. Security personnel glanced at their watches, showing concern. Finally, when Claire finished, I merely nodded slightly. I accept your apology, but it no longer holds any meaning. I wish you well. I motioned for the driver to proceed. In that fleeting moment, Claire's gaze swept over the sparkling wedding ring on my left ring finger. Its light of happiness was dazzling. You're married. That shock was the final blow, shattering the last spark of hope in Claire's heart. His wife is the new star in quantum biology, a conference staff member whispered nearby. They hold many major patents together. They are recognized by the scientific community as a match made in heaven. Just as Claire reeled, unconsciously stepping back, a familiar voice rang out from behind her. Professor, what a coincidence. Marcus, in a sharp suit, linked arms with an elegant and graceful woman, Dr. Sterling's daughter. I hear you're tutoring high school physics to make ends meet these days. His voice was mocking, dripping with sarcasm. Because of me, you gave up Dr. Ethan, and now he's brilliantly successful. But his fiancée smiled, gently interrupting him. Darling, don't mock the unfortunate. Though gentle, her words were sharper than any derision. A false empathy that pierced straight to the heart. Claire finally understood that she had traded a true genius like me only to bet on a petty scoundrel like Marcus. Regret now was utterly meaningless. That afternoon at the awards ceremony, the entire hall rose to their feet in applause. The excited presenter announced, "This year's International Quantum Computing Breakthrough Award is officially presented to Dr. Ethan and his team." It was the very award Marcus had once tried to claim. Now it rightfully belonged to me. Claire stood in the back row, silently watching me confidently walk onto the stage to accept the award. The men she had once scorned now shone with such brilliance that she could only look up from afar. Thank you for your recognition. My voice was calm and resolute. I want to specifically thank the stumbles and betrayals in my life. It was they that helped me realize what was truly important and gave me the courage to embark on my own journey. Thunderous applause erupted through the hall. Only Claire understood that those words were for her. Tears blurred her vision. I had transformed her betrayal into a launchpad for today's success. That night in her hotel room, Claire stayed awake all night, writing a long letter full of remorse and farewell. Ethan, this is the last time I will trouble you. Seeing your glory today, I am both proud and ashamed. I never truly had you, yet I failed to cherish you. I regret it, but an apology is meaningless now. I understand the price of my foolishness is losing you forever. I will withdraw from your life permanently, carrying this regret for the rest of my days. I wish you and your wife happiness. Having written it, she tore the letter to pieces because Claire knew I wouldn't need it, nor would I ever care. Early the next morning, before checking out of the hotel, she coincidentally saw me and my wife strolling in the garden. I gently supported my wife, whose face showed clear signs of pregnancy. The two of them walked and laughed, their eyes full of tenderness. Occasionally, I would bend down and gently caress my wife's belly as if whispering something to our unborn child. That moment was so beautiful that one couldn't bear to blink. Claire stood silently from afar, tears falling soundlessly. She whispered, "You found a better haven, much better than anything I could have ever given." Carrying a pain mingled with profound relief and understanding, she turned and left. This time, she knew she had to truly let go. 5 years later, in the physics department office of a small high school in the Southwest Mountains, "Miss Claire, could you help me with this problem?" A student knocked on the door and entered. Claire looked up from a stack of test papers. On her desk were only a simple teacup and a few old books. On the wall was a yellowed newspaper clipping, "Ethan, young scientist wins world's most prestigious science award." "Is that your friend, Miss Claire?" the student asked curiously. "No," Claire smiled, her eyes kind yet reflecting a permanent regret, "the biggest mistake of my life." That evening, the news reported, renowned scientist Marcus permanently banned from all scientific activities by the National Research Ethics Committee due to a series of academic fraud scandals. The Sterling family suffered severe decline. Marcus's marriage dissolved. He is listed as a prime example in anti-scientific fraud education. Claire quietly turned off the television. Now she no longer harbored any resentment towards Marcus. Only a sigh for her own folly all those years ago. Karma had finally come full circle. The next morning, the early news once again featured my image. Quantum computing achieves global breakthrough. Ethan's team leads new technological revolution. On screen, I was still in that impeccably tailored suit, eyes bright and full of conviction, speaking about humanity's future with grand ideals. He succeeded, Claire wept, her heart full of both pride and regret. That same day, she received an anonymous email with the subject line, regarding Ethan's hospitalization due to stomach bleeding. The content was cold and cruel. Professor Claire, perhaps you would like to know that 5 years ago, Ethan was hospitalized for working 72 consecutive hours to complete the project you assigned him. The hospital recorded that he requested to contact you 3 times. Meanwhile, according to social media, that night you were dining with Marcus at the Starlight restaurant. Attached were my medical records and a photo of them dining together. Claire collapsed, unable to sleep all night. A second anonymous email continued. He never resented you. Attached were all my work correspondences and audio recordings of exchanges between me and the research team. In every segment, whether ignored, unreasonably demanded of, or scolded, I had always silently borne the burden, never uttering a single complaint about her unfairness. That day, Claire fell ill. A high fever lasted for several days. Not long after recovering, she saw an image of me and my wife on television attending a charity event. We announced that we would jointly fund the establishment of a center for academic integrity dedicated to training young scientists in professional ethics. Scientific discovery must be based on honesty and trust, I declared. The academic community cannot tolerate betrayal and deceit because betrayal not only destroys research achievements but also shatters the fundamental trust between people. Before the screen, Claire sobbed uncontrollably. Those words were not just a scientific declaration. They were the final verdict upon her. In desperation, Claire sold her last property, then anonymously sent all her savings to my parents along with a letter. I know I have no right to atone, but please use this money to make a charitable donation on my behalf. This is the last remnant of conscience I can offer to compensate for the harm I caused Ethan. A week later, the envelope was returned, intact and complete. On the envelope, only a short line was added: mistakes cannot be redeemed with money. Find a more meaningful way to atone. When the new school year began, Claire stood on the podium, facing the young, eager faces of her students. Today, I not only want to teach you about the laws of physics, her voice was calm but firm, but also about the principles of being human. Truth and trust are the foundations of both science and life. She solemnly wrote those words on the blackboard. Ma'am, does this sentence have a special meaning? A bright student looked up and asked. Claire silently gazed out the window, the sunlight soft and warm. There was someone, she smiled, her eyes holding an unshakable regret mingled with a newfound determination, who taught me that lesson. The price is a lifetime that I must use to repay it. On that podium, Claire finally found her path to atonement, nurturing a generation of conscientious young scientists, precisely in the place where she had once lost herself. Though she could never fully compensate, she chose to strive to mend the trust she herself had shattered. It was the only thing she could do and the only path to rebirth.